Let me tell you something that will make your ego writhe in agony, especially if you consider yourself a successful professional, wear an expensive suit, and take pride in your business card, because the truth I am about to pour on you like a bucket of ice water will dissolve this facade of success in seconds, leaving you alone with a frightening reality. You think your high salary is a sign of success? That a six-figure sum a year makes you elite, the chosen one, the captain of your destiny? You look at the numbers on your pay stub and feel warmth in your chest, thinking, I made it. I beat the system. But let me ask you one question that will shatter this sweet illusion. If you beat the system, why are you still afraid of Mondays? Do you think it's just fatigue? No, it is the rattling of chains. Your high salary is not a reward for your brilliant mind, and it is not a recognition of your uniqueness. It is a bribe. It is the most cynical, most calculated, and most effective bribe in human history, paid to you by the system so that you shut up, give up on your dreams, and submissively build someone else's. You think you are a partner in this dance? You are mistaken. You are a resource bought wholesale to be squeezed dry and discarded when depreciation makes you unprofitable. You call this a career. You make plans. You dream of the next step up the ladder. But you do not see that this ladder stands in a barn, and it leads not to the sky, but to the slaughterhouse. I call these golden handcuffs. They shine. They are encrusted with the diamonds of social approval. Your neighbors envy their glitter. Your mother brags about them to her friends, but they shackle you tighter than steel fetters on a galley, because you would want to remove steel fetters, but these you polish every evening. You think slavery was abolished in the 19th century? How naive. Slavery simply changed its form. It became economic. It became voluntary. It became prestigious. In the past, slaves were given food and shelter so they could work tomorrow. Today, you are given a salary and a mortgage so that you are obligated to work tomorrow. The mechanism is the same, only the design of the collar has changed. You think I'm exaggerating? Try to stop. Try to stop rowing, and you will see how quickly the overseer changes his smile to a whip. But here is the twist that should knock the ground from under your feet. You think that the more you are paid, the freer you are? That is the greatest lie you have been sold. The more you are paid, the tighter the noose pulls. A high salary is not freedom. It is a leash. It's just longer and made of silk, but the end is still in someone else's hand. When you earn little, you can still take risks. You have nothing to lose. But when you are paid a lot, you become a coward. You start fearing the loss of this comfort, this status, this illusion of security. You become the most expensive, well-groomed, and obedient sheep in the herd, afraid even to bleat, lest you upset the shepherd. You think you control your life? Open your calendar. Look at your schedule. Whose meetings are those? Whose tasks are those? Whose priorities are those? If your name isn't there, then you are not the owner of your life. You are the administrator of someone else's assets. You are selling the only asset you actually have, your time, irreplaceable second by second, for currency that the government prints by the trillions. You are trading life for painted paper. This is the stupidest deal in the history of trade, and you make it every day with the pride of an idiot. You might object, but Charlie, I love my job. I am developing. And in that moment, I see how deep the needle has penetrated. You confuse development with training. You are being taught to be a better cog, a more effective gear, but you will never be taught to be the engineer who builds the machine. The system does not create competitors. The system creates support staff. You think your expertise is your defense? In a world where artificial intelligence learns faster than you read this sentence, your expertise ages faster than milk in the sun. You are betting on a skill that belongs to your employer, not to you. If you are fired tomorrow, will you take the laptop with you? No. Will you take the client base? No. Will you take the brand? No. You will leave naked with a box of personal items and a hole in your resume. Everything you built for years will remain with them, and you will be left only with memories of deadlines and psychosomatic disorders. You think this is pessimism? No, this is arithmetic, the mathematics of power. In the equation employer-employee, you are always in the denominator. You are being divided. You are being fractioned. You are being reduced. You think you are indispensable? Graveyards are full of indispensable people, and offices are full of those who took their place the next day for less money. Your ego tells you, this won't happen to me. I'm special. That is the voice of that very Pavlov's dog who thinks the bell rings because she is a good girl, not because the master decided to feed her. But what if the bell stops ringing? What if the master decides the dog eats too much? Are you ready for that question? Or do you prefer to bury your head in the sand and pretend that stability exists? Stability is a myth for the poor. In nature, there is no stability, only adaptation or death. And a salary atrophies your ability to adapt. It makes you soft. It makes you dependent. It is like a cast on a healthy leg. If you wear it long enough, the muscles will wither and you won't be able to walk without crutches. Your salary is that crutch, and you are so used to it that you have forgotten how to run. But the scariest part isn't even that. The scariest part is what you do with the money you receive. You think you're buying life with it? No, you're buying oblivion. You buy things to compensate for the emptiness inside, the emptiness from not realizing your potential. You buy expensive toys to prove to yourself that the suffering from 9 to 6 is worth it. But it is a trap. The more you buy, the more you need to earn. The more you need to earn, the tighter you are tied to the job. It is a vicious circle, a snake devouring its own tail, and you are inside its stomach, being digested in the acid of consumption. You think the way out is just to find a better job? Laughable. That's like changing cabins on the Titanic. The view from the porthole will be better, but the iceberg is the same. You are not solving the problem, you are decorating it. The problem is not the size of the salary. The problem is the nature of the salary. The problem is that you do not own the source. You are drinking from a river that flows through someone else's land, and the landowner can dam the river at any moment simply because he is in a bad mood. You live in a state of permanent vulnerability, which you cover up with expensive cream and branded clothing, but under that layer of gloss is fear. Animal, sticky fear. You feel it on Sunday evenings. You feel it when you see a missed call from the boss. That isn't stress, that is intuition. It is screaming at you, run! But you don't run. You adjust your tie and go to another meeting where you discuss how to make a rich uncle even richer while your own life slips through your fingers like sand. You think you have time? There is no time. There is only now, and right now you are selling it for peanuts. Are you ready to admit this, or will you continue to defend your cage until your last breath? Look at the facts. if you have the courage to tear your gaze away from your reflection in the window of an expensive store. Because arithmetic is the only science in this deceitful world that does not know how to be hypocritical, does not know how to flatter, and does not know how to pity. You probably think your problem is insufficiently high income. You convince yourself that as soon as the number in your contract increases by 20 or 30%, that crushing weight in your chest will magically disappear. But let me ask you a question that will make you feel like a hunted beast. Why, when you got your last raise, did that feeling disappear for exactly 2 weeks and then return with double the force? You think it's greed? No. It is a mechanism designed by the best minds on the planet to ensure you never, do you hear me? Never leave the track. You get a raise, and the second the ink dries on the new contract, something strange happens. Something you consider your choice but is actually a program stitched into your subconscious. You do not become richer. You simply start buying more expensive versions of your lack of freedom. You think you are climbing the ladder of success. It is an optical illusion created to keep you shuffling your feet. In reality, you are standing on a treadmill connected to a generator of someone else's profit. The faster you run, the faster it spins beneath your feet. You sweat, you age, you get shortness of breath and your first gray hairs. But geographically, financially, and strategically, you remain at the exact same point, at point zero, at the end of every month. You trade a Toyota for a Mercedes, but the joy of the leather and wood lasts exactly until the first loan payment, and suddenly you realize that this car is not taking you into the future. It is taking you to a job you are now 10 times more afraid of losing, because maintaining this toy requires you to be even more submissive. This is called lifestyle inflation, and it is the most effective tool of enslavement humanity has ever invented, because it forces the slave to polish his own chains and take pride in their shine. But wait, you think the enemy is only your desires? If it were that simple, you could handle it with willpower, but the system plays against you, tuned to ensure you lose mathematically. Have you ever looked at your tax statement not with longing, but with a calculator? You think the state rejoices in your success? No, the state is your greediest partner, who invests not a cent, but takes the lion's share of the profit. The more you earn with your labor, the higher the percentage taken from you. It is a progressive scale of punishment for success. You work harder, you take on more responsibility, you sacrifice weekends, but every next dollar earned comes to you harder and is taken from you easier. You are running up an escalator that is going down, and at some point, you realize that just to stay in place, you need to run with the speed of a sprinter. But you are not a sprinter. You are a marathon runner who forgot to drink water. And here happens the twist that should shock you if you are still capable of critical thinking. A person with a salary of $5,000 and a person with a salary of $50,000 a month share one common frightening trait that makes them brothers in misfortune. You think the second one is richer? You look at his house, his watch, his vacation in Dubai and think, that is the life. But you see only the facade. You do not see the foundation, and the foundation for both of them is made of sand. They are both bankrupt. Both. The difference is only that the first will fall from the first floor and maybe just break a leg, while the second will fall from the penthouse and crash to death. Statistics, that heartless bitch, tells us that most people with high incomes live paycheck to paycheck exactly like the poor. Their zero is just furnished with Italian furniture. If they stop working for 3 months, the system will devour them. The bank will take the house, the leasing company will take the car, the private school will expel the children. You call this the middle class? You're proud to belong to this stratum? I call it the class of slightly more comfortable slaves who were allowed to choose the color of their collar. The system is designed so that you spend everything you earn and a little more on top, so that you are always in a deficit. Marketers sell you status, convincing you that you are what you own. The government takes taxes to feed the bureaucracy, and banks sell you debt, so you can buy what you don't need with money you don't have. It is a perfect closed loop in which you are the fuel. You burn so the system can work. You think you are a player? No, you are a chip on the table, and the house always wins. Have you ever wondered why, upon receiving a bonus, your first thought is how to spend it, not how to keep it? That is not your thought. That is a thought implanted in you. You have been trained to fear money. You are uncomfortable when there is a surplus in the account. You feel an itch. You need to get rid of it, exchange it for a thing, and experience anything, just not to be left alone with capital. Why? Because capital is responsibility, and consumption is oblivion. You choose oblivion. You choose the sweet sleep in which you are the king of the world until the alarm rings at 6:30 a.m. You think golden handcuffs is a metaphor? Look at your colleagues. Look at your boss. Do you see freedom in their eyes? Or do you see the same fear there, just packaged in a more expensive suit? They are afraid of losing their place even more than you, because they have something to lose. Their level of consumption is so high that any drop in income for them is social death. They are hostages of their lifestyle, and you strive to become them. You climb this mountain only to discover at the summit not a victory flag, but an oxygen mask for which you have to pay every hour. This is not success. This is a trap disguised as Disneyland. You enter, pay for the ticket with your life, ride the rides, you feel nauseous, but you smile because everyone around is smiling, and you are afraid to admit that you are scared and want to go home. But there is no home. You sold it to buy the ticket. You think the way out is to earn even more? That is like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. More money will simply increase the flame of your lifestyle inflation. You will buy an even bigger house. Taxes will get even higher, maintenance will get even more expensive, and you will have to run even faster. It is a dead end, and the scariest part is that you know it. Deep inside, when the lights go out and the noise of the city fades, you know I am right. You feel that this race has no finish line, but you are afraid to stop because you don't know who you are without your salary. You identify yourself through the number in the SMS from the bank. And if that number is removed, all that remains of you is emptiness. Are you ready to look into that emptiness? Or will you prefer to keep running on the track until your heart stops? I know what you are thinking right now. I hear that quiet but persistent whisper in your head, trying to drown out the roar of my words because your psyche has switched to emergency defense mode against the truth. You sit there in your office chair or on a sofa, bought on credit, and tell yourself, "But Charlie, you don't understand my situation. I'm not like the others. I just need one more raise, one more year-end bonus, and then, with that new amount, I will finally break free. I will plug the holes, and become free. Do you believe that? Do you really believe that the next step on this ladder leads to the exit and not just to the next floor of the same prison? You are lying to yourself, and somewhere deep in your gut, where your intuition lives, you know it is a lie, but you are afraid to admit it, because if you admit that the next step does not exist, you will have to admit that for the last 10 years, you have been running nowhere. You think your problem is a deficit of money that will be solved by its quantity? That is a fatal error in calculation. Your problem is a deficit of meaning in the very structure of your deal with the devil, and no amount written out in a check will fix an equation that is set up incorrectly from the start. You think the next raise will make you rich? Let me tell you what the next raise will actually do, and this forecast will be more accurate than the weather forecast, because it is based on human psychology, which hasn't changed for millennia. The next raise will simply buy you a longer leash. You will be able to run not 5 meters from the doghouse, but 7. You will feel an illusion of spaciousness. You will inhale the air of freedom, but exactly at the moment you pick up speed, the collar will dig into your throat, reminding you who the master is. You won't break free because you are playing by rules written by people for whom it is profitable for you to lose. You think the corporation is a family? The corporation is a mechanism for extracting surplus value from biological material, and that material is you. They pay you exactly enough so you don't leave, and you work exactly enough so you don't get fired, and in this cynical equilibrium, your only life passes. But here is what should shock you if you have a drop of self-respect left. Look at the nature of the exchange you make every day from Monday to Friday. You come to the market and lay out on the counter the only asset you have, an asset that cannot be printed, cannot be accumulated, cannot be stolen, and cannot be returned. Your time, your biological time, the seconds your children grow while you sit in a meeting, the hours your health departs while you stare at a monitor. You take this finite, vanishing, sacred resource and exchange it for what? For currency. For paper that the government prints by the trillions. By pressing a button on a computer, you exchange the unique for the mass-produced. You exchange life for painted cellulose. This is the stupidest, most unprofitable, most tragic deal in the history of commerce. And you commit it with the enthusiasm of an idiot who found a shiny bottle cap on the road and thinks it is a coin. You think you are an investor? You are a bad investor. You are shorting your life to buy a long on inflation. You are selling an asset that appreciates every second, because there is less and less of it, to buy an asset that depreciates every day, because they print more and more of it. Do you understand the absurdity of this situation? Have you ever seen Warren Buffett exchange Coca-Cola shares for toilet paper? No, but you do it every day. You give away your energy, your creativity, your nervous system for numbers on a screen that aren't even backed by gold. And the scariest part is that you consider this success. You are proud of how expensively you sold your week. I earned $50 an hour, you say with pride. And I look at you and think, you just sold an hour of your life that will never return for 50 pieces of paper that will devalue by 5% tomorrow. You are not a genius. You are a victim of a scam. But you will say, Charlie, but I need something to live on. And here we come to the main paradox that turns your life into a tragicomedy. You exchange life for paper to then spend this paper in a desperate attempt to buy a little life back. You work 50 weeks a year to buy 2 weeks of vacation where you can feel alive. You work 10 hours a day to buy an evening in a restaurant where you can feel like a human being. You sell your time wholesale on the cheap and then try to buy it back in retail with a huge markup. Do you not see the irony in this? Or is it no longer irony but a diagnosis? You are like a person who sells his blood to buy himself a red jacket because he wants to look healthy. But the jacket won't replace the blood. The vacation won't replace youth. The restaurant won't replace the family dinner you missed because of a deadline. You think just a little more and you will stop. You are lying. The system is built so that enough never comes. The horizon moves away as you approach it. You thought 50,000 a year was the dream limit? Now you get 50 and feel like a pauper? You think 100,000 will solve all problems? Ask those who get 100. They will tell you they don't have enough for a normal life. This is the trap of hedonic adaptation, and you run in it like a squirrel that has had a stroke but keeps moving its paws out of inertia. You think you are managing the process. You think you are a careerist. No, you are a battery. And when your charge runs out, you won't be recharged. You will be replaced. Have you ever seen how quickly a company finds a replacement for an indispensable employee who died of a heart attack at the workplace? The job vacancy appears sooner than the obituary. That is your real price in this system. You still think I am laying it on thick? Look at your bosses. Look at those standing 2 steps above you. Do they look happy? Do they look free? Or do they look like people who haven't slept for 3 years and run on caffeine and antidepressants? This is your future. This is what you are striving for. This is the prize waiting for you at the finish line if you make it. Do you want this prize? Golden handcuffs, a stomach ulcer, and children who call you that uncle who visits on weekends? If this is your ideal of success, then you can turn off this video, because I cannot help someone who is in love with their executioner. But if a wave of anger is rising inside you right now, if you feel you have been deceived, that you have been used, that you were sold a fake treasure map, then that is a good sign. Anger is energy. Anger is the first feeling of a free man who has realized his chains. You think there is no way out? That the alternative is starvation and poverty under a bridge? That is another lie instilled in you, so you would be afraid to step aside. There is a way out, but it requires you to perform a mental somersault that will break your habitual world. You must stop thinking like a mercenary and start thinking like an owner. You must stop looking for a good job and start looking for good assets. But you are afraid. You are afraid to lose guarantees. But what guarantees do you have? The guarantee that you will be used until old age and then thrown out on a beggarly pension? That is the only guarantee a salary gives. You are afraid of risk? Risk is waking up at 60 and realizing you lived someone else's life for someone else's goals. That is risk. And attempting to build something of your own is not risk. It is the only path to salvation. But to step onto this path, you need to kill hope in yourself. Hope that everything will work out. Hope that the boss will appreciate it. Hope that the system will take care. The system will take care to squeeze you dry. You must kill hope and give birth to a strategy. Are you ready to learn what that strategy looks like? Or will you prefer to return to your warm, cozy cell and wait for the next ration? Rich people, those who truly own the world and don't just rent an expensive corner in it, feel a sentiment toward a salary that you cannot understand because it contradicts everything you were taught in school. They feel deep physiological disgust toward it. You think a salary is a goal? For them, a salary is a ceiling, it is a cage, it is a humiliating limitation of their potential because a salary is linear, while wealth is exponential. You think they want to earn more? No, they want to earn differently. And here lies the secret that will make you feel like a blind kitten poking its nose into a bowl of empty milk. The difference between wealth and income is not a difference in the number of zeros. It is a difference in the physics of the process. It is the difference between owning a lake and carrying water in buckets. You are a water carrier. You are strong, you are enduring, you are proud of your biceps, you can carry huge buckets for 12 hours a day, and you think that if you pump your muscles even more and take bigger buckets, you will become rich. But you forget to ask yourself one question on which your life depends. What happens when your back hurts? And it will hurt. What happens when you get old and your knees fail? And they will fail. The second you put the buckets on the ground, the flow of water will stop, and you will die of thirst next to those you tried to give a drink. You think the strategy is to become the best water carrier? That is a suicide strategy. The rich man's strategy is to build a pipeline. While you sweat and break your spine, he sits in the shade and connects pipes. At first, he has no water. You laugh at him, you shout, "Look, I brought 100 liters already, and you are still digging in the mud with dry hands." But one day, when he tightens the last valve, the water starts flowing by itself. He no longer needs to be there. He can leave, he can sleep, he can die. The water will flow to his children. Do you understand the difference? You sell your presence. He buys his absence. You want to be needed. He wants to be unnecessary. And until you kill the desire in yourself to be an indispensable employee, you will never become a free man, because an indispensable employee is just a slave who cannot be released to freedom even for a day. But you will ask, "Charlie, how do I build a pipeline if I'm busy carrying buckets so I don't die of hunger right now?" And here the drama begins. Here your logic does a somersault. You think the way out is to quit your job? If you do that, you are an idiot and you will die. You think the way out is to work more? If you do that, you will burn out. The way out lies in the third dimension, which you ignore. You must use the water from your buckets not only to drink, but also to buy pipes. The strategy for exiting slavery is insultingly simple, it is offensively primitive, and that is exactly why you ignore it, looking for complex schemes and secret cryptocurrencies. You must freeze your standard of living. Does that sound boring? Does that sound like a sentence? No, it is the only key to the handcuffs. Imagine you were given a raise. You got a 20% bump. What does your brain, poisoned by consumption, do? It screams, "Hooray! Now I can buy a better car. Now I can move to a bigger apartment." And you spend that 20% on a new level of comfort. You just committed a crime against your future. You took bricks from which you could have built a fortress wall and built a jacuzzi out of them. The rich man's strategy looks different. You get a raise, but you continue to live as if it didn't happen. You live on the old amount, and the entire difference, to the last cent, you throw into assets. You buy stocks. You buy shares in a business. You buy a garage that can be rented out. You buy something that does not require your breath to exist. You think this is a sacrifice. You think, "I don't want to deny myself now for the sake of later." That is a lie. You're not denying yourself. You are paying ransom for your freedom. Every dollar you didn't spend on a new rag but invested in an asset is a little soldier you hired into your personal army. At first, there are few of them. They are easy to kill. But if you are disciplined, if you are ruthless to your ego that wants to show off to neighbors, your army will grow. And a day will come, it will come faster than you think, when your army starts bringing you more loot than you can bring with your own hands. On that day, you will stop being a slave. On that day, you can go to your master and say, I am leaving, not because I feel bad, but because I no longer need to be here. But you are afraid of this path. Why? Because it requires you to kill the peacock in yourself. You need to stop feeding your ego and start feeding your freedom. You will have to drive an old car while your colleagues brag about new models on credit. You will have to wear an old jacket while your friends discuss brands. They will look at you with pity. They will think you have problems, that you are a loser. And here happens the main plot twist. You must allow them to think so. You must enjoy their pity, because you know what they don't know. You know they are eating their geese that lay golden eggs while you are feeding yours. You know that their shine is the shine of scales on a hook, and your modesty is the camouflage of a predator preparing to jump. Do you want to look rich, or do you want to be free? These are two different sports, and you cannot play both at the same time. If you spend money to look rich, you are destroying the capital that could make you free. This is the law of conservation of energy. You cannot eat the cake and keep it. You must choose. And most of you choose to look. You choose decorations instead of a foundation. You build a Potemkin village behind the facade of which is emptiness and debt. And I suggest you build a bunker. From the outside, it might look like a hill covered in grass, but inside, it has an autonomous power supply and supplies for 100 years. You think assets are complicated? You think you need to be Warren Buffett to start? Nonsense. You don't need to be a genius. You need to be consistent. Buy an index fund. Buy a REIT. Buy a share in the shawarma stand near your house. I don't give a damn what it is, as long as it is a machine and not a job. A machine works while you sleep. A job requires your pulse. The difference between them is the difference between life and survival. You say, I will start when I earn more. That is a lie. If you don't start now, with what you have, you will never start. Big money will only amplify your vices. If you spend everything now, you will spend everything later, only the toys will become more expensive and the debt pit deeper. You must become obsessed with the idea of ownership. Stop asking, how much can I earn? Start asking, what can I own? Ownership is the only path to sovereignty. Until you own, you are owned. This is a binary system. There are no half-tones here. Either you have assets that pay you, or you are an asset that pays others. You can be offended by this wording. You can call me an old cynic, but mathematics knows no etiquette. It knows only the balance sheet. And your balance sheet is currently negative, not because you have debts, but because you are the only asset in your portfolio. And this asset is mortal, vulnerable, and wears out every day. Are you ready to admit this? Are you ready to switch strategies from porter to engineer? Or will you continue to haul buckets, hoping your back is made of titanium? Understand me correctly, and let this be the very plot twist you didn't expect from an old cynic who just called your career slavery. Work is normal. Being useful to society is noble, and creating value with your hands or head is the only thing that distinguishes us from parasites. You think I am calling you to laziness? You think I want you to quit your offices and go lie on the beach sipping cocktails while your brain rots from idleness? If that's how you understood it, then you listened but did not hear. I despise idleness even more than slavery, because slavery is violence against the body, while idleness is violence against the soul. But there is a giant, fundamental, insurmountable abyss between working because you want to create and working because you have to survive. You think you work for self-realization? Don't lie to me. If they stop paying you tomorrow, will you come to the office? No, it means you work for rations. And here lies the crime you are committing, not against yourself, but against your family, against your children, against the very concept of safety. Being dependent on a single source of income that belongs to another person, be it a kind boss, an evil corporation, or a faceless state, is not just a risk, it is unforgivable negligence bordering on insanity. You call yourself middle class, and this phrase warms your soul. It sounds like stability, like norm. But let me rip off this label and show you what is written underneath in fine print. You are not middle class. In the modern economy, the middle class does not exist. It has been destroyed by inflation and debt. You are in the kill zone. You are the infantry thrown onto the embrasure of a crisis first. The rich will survive. They have assets. The poor will survive. They have nothing to lose and are used to deprivation. And you? You are the most vulnerable creatures in the food chain because you have expensive habits but no capital to sustain them without a daily injection of money from the outside. You are like a patient in intensive care who looks healthy and rosy-cheeked, but he is connected to a ventilator. Unplug the socket, and the blush will disappear in a minute. Your salary is that socket, and the plug is not in your hands. You can be offended at the old man. You can say that I am a senile billionaire who has forgotten how ordinary people live, and that will be your defense mechanism, your ego's attempt to save face when the mask is ripped off. But deep inside, in that dark corner of consciousness where you are afraid to look, you know, I am right. You feel that cold draft of insecurity every time you hear rumors of layoffs. You feel like an imposter playing the role of a successful person, but knowing the king is naked. And until you admit that your salary is not a reward, but a drug, you will never get off the needle. You will demand a bigger dose. You will change dealers, employers. You will learn new tricks to get a little more of this sweet poison, but you will remain an addict to the very end. Do you want such a fate? Do you want your tombstone to read, "He was an excellent employee and always paid his loans on time"? Or do you want something more? You think the system is your enemy? No, the system is indifferent. It is just a mechanism. Your enemy is your consent. Your enemy is your signature under the contract where you exchange freedom for comfort. You think I am cruel? A surgeon must be cruel to cut out a tumor. I am cutting your illusion of safety to save your financial life. You can continue to live in the matrix where a salary is the goal and a pension is the reward. Or you can take the red pill and see that a salary is a means and assets are the goal. You must use your master's money to build your own house, not to decorate your cell in his prison. Is this betrayal? No, this is evolution. A slave who buys his freedom is not a traitor. He is a hero. Become a hero for your family, not a convenient resource for someone else's business. But words are cheap and actions are priceless. You can nod while listening to me and feel the flame of determination rising inside you, but this flame will go out in an hour if you don't throw the wood of reality into it. I want to give you a crash test. I want you right now, without leaving the screen, to conduct a thought experiment that will show you your true price and your true strength. Imagine that tomorrow morning, when you arrive at work, your office is gone. It vanished. The company went bankrupt, accounts are frozen, the boss fled to Mexico. No severance pay, no recommendations, no safety cushions from the state. Zero. The flow is cut off. Silence. And now the main question, the million-dollar question, the question that separates men from boys and free people from serfs. How many days can you live without changing your standard of living, without selling your things to a pawn shop, without moving back in with your parents, and without borrowing money from friends? Not how long you think you will live, but how long will your math really show? Look at your account. Divide that number by your monthly expenses. What did you get? A week? A month? 6 months? Or maybe you are a free person and your answer is forever, because your assets feed you without your participation. This number is not just a statistic. It is the index of your slavery. If your answer is 30 days, it means you belong to yourself for only 30 days, and all the rest of the time, you are the property of the one who gives you money. You are a hostage with a suspended sentence, and the smaller this number, the stronger the chains. You can lie to me, you can lie to neighbors, you can lie on Instagram, but you cannot lie to mathematics. I want you to write this number in the comments. Just the number. Days, weeks, months. Do not write excuses. Do not write what if. Write the fact. Let's look truth in the eye. Who among you really owns their life, and who just rents it from their boss with a right to purchase that they will never use? This will be the most honest parade in your life. A parade of sovereignty or a parade of vulnerability. I will read every number, and every number will be a diagnosis for me. Are you ready to take off the mask? Are you ready to admit your position to start the path upward? Or will you hide behind silence, hoping the problem will disappear if you don't look at it? I am waiting. The clock is ticking.